Hello, everybody. Cheers and welcome. Welcome to the Monday night stream here on the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Tis I, Warren Hayes, welcoming you to a brand new week of professional wrestling and stuff. Glad you could make it. It's nice to see you. Welcome. We're gonna have a nice time together, I think, tonight. I hope so. I'm not feeling great for some reason. I had I made soup. I made soup just for dinner tonight. You know, sometimes like I'll make a big meal on a given night, and then the next time I'm like, oh, let's go light. Let's not go as crazy. We'll have like soup. Might have a nice salad or something like that. Tonight I was like, I'll make soup. Add some carrots I had to get rid of anyway. Made a potato carrot soup, a potage, nice and velvety. And I ate it and it was delicious. It's just flat out delicious. And but since I've eaten it, I'm like, well, like kind of indigestion-y, kind of. Sort of feels like that. And I'm burping. I haven't burped yet, but I've been burping. I was burping quite a bit on the lead up, while everything was sort of warming up on stream here. So I was like, so you know, I'm going around saying to myself, you know, it's like, hey, you know, I'll just burp as much as I can before starting on stream. But I can make no guarantees as to whether or not I will not be, as to whether I'll be gassy on stream tonight or not. I make no guarantees on that front. Not tonight. Some nights I'm very careful. Most nights I'm very careful. Very, very careful. Tonight, I gotta tell you, between hanging on to that and like some immediate relief, I'll go for the immediate relief. So you know, I don't know. I'm not feeling 100%. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But we're gonna have ourselves a nice little stream nonetheless. I promise you, I'm going to give you my all, like I usually do. The ceiling might hit a little quicker tonight. I hope everyone had a lovely weekend. It was very nice here, at least on Saturday here in ye olde Quebec City. It was very, very nice. So spent some time outside with Juno. Juno's not a big fan of the warmer weather. She doesn't dig that as much. She chases down shade quite a bit. She gets very thirsty very quickly. She's definitely not a dog designed for the heat. She likes the cool. She likes the cold. She likes the winter. She likes the snow. This time of year, she's like, you can tell she's not quite herself. You know, she'll pull through. But nonetheless, you know, we had some fun. We enjoyed we enjoyed hanging out outside and, you know, just enjoying the time outside. So that was very nice. It was also a long weekend here in Canada, today being Victoria Day. So happy birthday to the old Queen Victoria. How old would she have been today? How old would Queen Victoria be today? She would be, if she were still around. Oh, this is. Okay, she died at the age of 80. She'd be 207 years old today, if she was still with. If she were still with us, she'd be 207 years old. Yeah, rip, I guess. So yeah, so day off. So today not as nice. So decided to do some little deep cleaning, you know, a la spring cleaning. I don't want to call it spring cleaning. Like, I feel like spring cleaning creates like a perception of a person. Like, I don't believe in spring cleaning. I believe in you know, I believe in deep cleaning, but spring cleaning I feel is like an eventful thing that has to happen within a very short time frame. And if you miss it, well, I don't know. It seems a little weird to me. So I did some deep cleaning of particularly of the bathroom and you know, moved some appliances around and stuff like, you know, that kind of stuff that you don't do every week or every weekend type of thing. So that's it. So and of course went to visit Mama Hayes, who is I am happy to report still doing quite fine, doing quite well. They're taking their time, you know. No big rushing her back, which is fine by me. I don't think she'd be okay to come back so soon. One thing at a time. We watched. Kristen and I this weekend we watched the Enter the Dragon film, the Bruce Lee joint. She had never seen it before. So it was my pleasure to introduce that to her, as well as Kurosawa's Yojimbo, which I think I had seen like in an art house like back in the early 90s or something like that. I haven't seen since, so that was fun. I didn't remember it to be. I didn't remember that it was such a goofy film. And I enjoyed it. So did she. We had a nice time. It was nice seeing all of that again. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And at some point she's looking at the movie, right? Because this was her first Kurosawa film. And I kept telling her over and over again before, you know, multiple times when we were talking about movies, you know, whatever type of conversation we had about movies, right? And I told her, she said, yeah, you know, Kurosawa is immensely influential. Like, he influenced films internationally and still does today, blah, blah, blah. And then we're watching it and she's like, wait, did he influence like spaghetti westerns? Did he like influence Sergio Leone? I'm like, yeah, he most likely did, you know? And then she does a little research, and I didn't know this, but Kurosawa outright sued Leone for what was it? What was the movie? Which one? I can't remember. But one of his films. I'm not as much on the up and up. I know The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's pretty much it. But there's one movie that Kurosawa like outright sued him. He's like, "This is my film. You stole my film." Like, to the very last detail, you stole my film. Which I did not know. We discovered that together this past weekend. I think I'll have to watch the movie now to compare. So there you go. That's the long and short of it. And otherwise, been watching ye old pro wrestling this weekend. Yes. But before, let's say hi. Let's say hi to some people first. Hello, D. Owens. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel on top of that. What's the news today? It's light indeed. It is very light, which is why, by the way, I fired up the old Q&A. I fired up the old Q&A today so that we can have maybe something to talk about. Because it is pretty light. Like I have a few topics you'll see on the docket. I got a few things lined up, but I don't think it's anything that's going to carry us for the entirety of the stream. So the Q&A is there. Hop right in, ask your wrestling related questions there, and I'll get around to them a little later on in the evening. Mike McCullough, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Member of the channel as well. Got Carlos at Sports and Things Shows. Buddy, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the chat, buddy. And Anakin JMT is here too. How you doing, Anakin? Welcome to the chat. I'm assuming Juno is your dog and not the Roman goddess. Why not both? So there you have it. That's the long and short of it. Indigestion-ridden Warren Hayes going to hang out with you for the next couple of hours as we talk professional wrestling. It's going to be a good time. But if you're enjoying yourself already, please remember to like the stream. I would appreciate that tremendously. And what's coming up? What's on the what's coming up? What's ready for us? What's on the big content stream? Not stream. The big content floor, Warren. Yes, well, I'm glad you asked. Members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel right now have access to my Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor review that I recorded this past weekend. Of course, the big show was on Friday. I told you it was going to happen. Oof. So there you go. Had the big show on Friday, and I recorded my review on Saturday, a review of a show that I think overall, safely could call mediocre. Aside from the main event, not the main event, the Ring of Honor World title match between Bandito and Blake Christian. I don't think there was anything really interesting, and I thought for the longest time on the show, I was super duper bored. But if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts about Ring of Honor and where it's at and where it's going and why should I care, you are more than welcome to become a member of the channel and listen to my thoughts right now. Of course, the review will be available on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, which will be released on Wednesday, per usual. And then, of course, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, not the AEW Dynamite review, will be released on Thursday, as well as another stream on Thursday evening. And then, of course, the next big milestone is going to be reviewing AEW Double or Nothing, which is happening this weekend. And so essentially what that means is that there will not be a stream next Monday. So, you can already erase it from your planners, from your calendar books, from your agendas. You can already take your little eraser and erase it. Or if you used ink, well, then you pull out the whiteout and you give it a shake, right? Cluck, cluck, cluck. I miss whiteout. I loved whiteout. And here, the whiteout that we use the most, we used liquid paper brand as opposed to the whiteout brand. We used liquid paper, and that was pretty cool. And especially, and I really liked it because the first versions that we had were like little brushes. It was it was in a little bottle and you twist off the cap and you'd have the little brush and you just, I don't know. There was something extremely satisfying. That was extremely satisfying. I miss the liquid paper. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, no stream next Monday. No stream next Monday because I'm going to be recording the Double or Nothing review, and the Double or Nothing review will be available first and foremost to members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. They are going to get it first. Well, that's it. They're going to get it first, and then it'll be available on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper. And of course, we're going to be previewing Double or Nothing on the stream this upcoming Thursday. And since we're talking about programming notes, for the next 2 Mondays, there won't be a live stream. So next week, we're not going to have a live stream because I'll be recording. But the week after that, the Monday after that, which is June the 1st, I will not be around. I will be away on business for the shoot job. And so I will not be able to stream on Monday evening. So hopefully there's nothing big that happens between then, around that period essentially. So yeah, so there won't be a live stream. And oh well, Warren, you could make it up to us by giving us a Tuesday stream. Nope. No can do either. I'll barely be making it back on time for Dynamite on Wednesday, I think. So there you go. So for the next 2 weeks, no Monday stream, which I'm sure breaks all of our hearts. But so that's it. So that's essentially. But on the short term, look, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor review available right now in early access for members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube. So become a member, hit the join button, become a member. You can listen to it right now. And then next Monday there will not be a live stream. Instead, members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel will be getting in early access my AEW Double or Nothing review. It will be in early access. So again, another great reason to become a member. Another great reason to become a member. There's always a good reason to become a member. I just pour my heart out. Here you go. DJ Convoy, how you doing, pal? Welcome to the chat. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. On top of that, the mind-numbing banality of wrestling keeps my marriage right in a comfortable rut. I should get you to write the titles to my streams. I had a job where we had to use the little spool of whiteout instead of actual liquid paper. We went through a lot of it because we had paper to fill out in triplicate. Oh, holy shit. That's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. We had a kid that sniffed the whiteout. That might have been me. Warren streams on a Canadian holiday, but won't stream on an American one. What is next week? I know it's no longer Columbus Day. What do you Yanks calling it now? Because it's not Columbus Day anymore, right? Because it turns out Christopher Columbus is a legendary piece of shit. So what are we calling it now? It's not President's Day, right? That President's Day was in March. Memorial Day, is that what it is? Also, it's Memorial Day. Well, when's Columbus Day? Or am I confused? When is Columbus Day for you people? Let's figure it out together. When is Columbus Day? Oh, it's in October. Oh my God. Okay. See, okay, thank you. I knew it wasn't Columbus Day anymore. Indigenous Peoples Day. Okay, yes, I knew it was something else. And then it's in October. I'm completely out to lunch. But yeah, of course. You said Memorial Day, and I'm like, duh. Of course. Isn't this when's the MMA fight on the White House lawn? When is that supposed to happen? June 14th. Okay. It's still in a month. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. It's the indigestion that's doing this. It's all the gastric acid that's it's just like steaming up to my brain and making my thought processes even worse than usual. DGMC, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also member of the channel, Warren Bill Goldberg, Save My Marriage Hayes. That's, nope. My Canadian expat brother celebrated his birthday in New Orleans. Got the day off today. Nice. My dumb American self had to take the day off. Oh well. Okay, you know, America has just been like, you know, it's just, there's been just so many W's when it comes to the United States over the past 2 years or so. Sometimes you just gotta, sometimes you have to take an L. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. It's about time. We're done now. We're gonna kick off. We're gonna kick off these proceedings.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Shop Moliere. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself.
Happy Victoria Day.
I'm Chuck Master, and I represent NWA.
Queen Victoria. Booyah! Queen Victoria, well-known aficionado of the nunchucks. She liked all the nunchucks. Zach McGibbon. Happy Victoria Day, Zach McGibbon. How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Did she know how to rap like Jacques though? No. However, she did know how to enslave entire portions of the northern continent of the African continent, though. She was quite good at that. Here's our lovely docket. Hey, how you doing, Pedro the Fifth? Welcome to the chat. Saving marriage is one nunchuck at a time. Hey, Silver Apocalypse, nice to see you and welcome. You had to make a new YouTube account because your PC broke. Windows won't. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a disaster. Especially since you needed the Geek Squad to help. Heyo. Oh, that's terrible. Well, I'm glad you're around. Nice to see you. It is very nice to see you with us here tonight. Generally, Silver Apocalypse is a member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. We need more holidays for rapping, Disney vacationing, nunchuck masters, and less for monarchs. True. For those of you who just arrived, I'm really bad indigestion, so bear with me. But most importantly, I've got a Q&A going if you haven't noticed already. So if you want to pop into the Q&A and ask any wrestling cues, I will give you some appropriate A's later on tonight. I want to start things off tonight by giving a little update, a little where are we at right now in regards to the best of the Super Juniors tournament 33, the 33rd edition. Listen, I'm going to be straight up with you. The tournament has been very good so far. It's been very, very good. It's crazy because, like, excuse me, Jesus fucking Christ. This is gonna be something. I gotta tell you, like, the tournament has been so good so far. I think might even be going a bit above and beyond expectations because everything has been super solid. I find that I find the opening matches have all been terrific. The bullshit, because there is bullshit, because look at Block B. You know, you've got Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sho in the same block. You've got Yo, who is another bullshit master. You got Hayo, who, good wrestler, but, is not above doing fucking nonsense either. So, maybe not my favorite block, but when there is nonsense, when there is bullshit that happens on the show, it's all very short. And when I say short, I'm talking 2 to 3 minutes short. Nothing that can get you upset. Things that are not going to waste your time, that you're not sitting there for 10 minutes going, oh my God, is this shit ever going to come to a close? This is very, very solid so far. There's been already some excellent matches. I think there's some standout stuff, but it's really been great so far. If we let's say we talk about the standings right now and where we're at and whatnot, A block has we're 3 matches in, 3 evenings in, I should say. So it's not like we're having a clear picture. We're still in the opening salvos of stuff, but A block right now, we've got Titan and Taguchi who are at the top with 6 points apiece. Then you've got Kosei Fujita, who's got 4 points. Then you've got a huge blob of people with 2 points. Jun Kasai, Valiente Jr., Master Wato, Robbie X, Francesco Akira, Nick Wayne, and Daiki Nagai, who is rounding out the bottom at 0. No big surprise there because Nagai, who you don't see on the graphic that I have right here, Nagai is replacing Doki, who was injured previous to the tournament, so he just pulled out of the tournament. He said no, they didn't play it as an injury, but he is injured. So Nagai took his spot, and he's technically, more than technically, he still is a young lion right now, so he's going to be taking all the L's on that front. So those are the standings there. As far as B block goes, we've got Sho and Daisuke Sasaki, who are both at the top with 6 points, with the number 6 as the number of points. And you've got Yo at 4. This basically should show you that I'm a little exasperated with B block as it stands right now. Then you have the blob here again. Hayo, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Robbie Eagles, El Desperado, Taiji Ishimori, and Kushida all have 2 points. And Jacob Austin Young clearly is going to be the guy who will be eating the pins throughout the tournament. He has no points, so he rounds up the bottom. So there's still a lot of stuff to go on yet. Of course, we're still extremely early in the tournament, so no one is facing elimination right now. Of course, it's not looking good for Nagai or JAY. It's not looking good for either guy. So that's the setup that we have so far. Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm kind of surprised with a couple of decisions that they've been making, right? Mostly the idea of pushing Rizuki Taguchi, the older vet, the guy who's been around forever and ever. And when I say pushing, like he's won all 3 of his matches so far. And do we need this? Is this something that we want in the year of our Lord 2026 to have Taguchi going on a run here? Then again, in these types of round robin tournaments in New Japan, typically there'll be a couple of people who are going to come out strong out the gate and then are going to falter as the tournament advances, and that might be him. It's just sometimes I wonder, sometimes I wonder if this is the path we really want to go. We really want to go down with certain wrestlers. Like, wouldn't you want to push other guys? But then again, like Wato is one of the guys who lost to He's one of the guys who lost to Taguchi. So, maybe not that big a deal either. He beat Nagai as well. Well, Nagai's the young lion, and he's supposed to be taking pins, right? Taguchi also defeated Valiente Jr., which was a bit of a surprise because it ended very abruptly. Valiente did a move, sort of collided with Taguchi on the move, and then started pointing to his knee, and then the referee called the match. So there's a bit of an injury scare right now when it comes to Valiente Jr. Taguchi gets the win here. Was that planned? Was that the thing? Was that supposed to happen, or is this just the situation we're in because Valiente got hurt? It sucks if this is indeed the case that Valiente Jr. got hurt, because this was only his second match of the tournament, right? Wasn't it like his? Let me double check here, but I believe he had fought Taguchi and Nagai as well. So yes, like this was only like his second match of the tournament, and so that was really a shame. It's really a shame if he did get hurt, because he was one of the guys that I was most looking forward to see how he was going to do in this environment. Valiente Jr. is one of the low key good workers that CMLL has right now. I say low key because he's not the guy who's regularly featured on Friday nights in Arena Mexico. You'll see him on the other shows, on the Saturday shows, on the Tuesday shows, but you won't see him as often on Friday. But he's a guy that he's very young, and is also he's creating his own spot as well within CMLL. There's a lot of buzz around him, so I was looking forward to it. So if he's injured, that would suck. That means he'd be out of the tournament and he'd have to forfeit. Now, I'm saying a lot of ifs, mostly because nothing has been announced yet out of New Japan. New Japan hasn't said a word in regards to the injury, the status, if he's going to be able to continue to compete, if he's going to be removed from the tournament. We just don't know. But the other reason why I'm saying if is because, well, I heard that the injury that Valiente took was to cover for an injury that Taguchi has in regards to his back. And the plan here was that since Taguchi was supposed to win the match, well, they just worked out the thing where Valiente would feign hurting himself, and then they'd call the match, and Taguchi would win without having to work the match, which would allow him more time to recuperate. This happened on Saturday, and the next round of competition is on Wednesday. So that would have given Taguchi quite a few days to recoup, if this is indeed true. The news, I guess, we'll have. I'm assuming we're going to have some clarity tomorrow, Japan time, right? And isn't it already like tomorrow in Japan? Yeah, it's like 9 a.m. right now in Japan. So I'm assuming that at some point, sooner than later, we're going to get some clarity in regards to Valiente Jr.'s status within the best of Super Juniors. Everyone has a night off in the tournament. So why am I trying to explain this more? Every wrestler has one night in the tournament where they're not wrestling. They have the night off. And Valiente's night off, unfortunately, already happened. So, so he can't even squirm out. He wouldn't be able to move those around. He's already had his night off. So he's essentially wrestling till the very end. Look, I look, we'll see how bad it is. But like I had been, it had been circulating that, well, maybe Coach Taguchi was the guy who was actually injured, and they did this little angle so that Taguchi wouldn't have to miss an evening of competition, but then at the same time would not have to work and still win his match. So we'll see what happens moving forward here in this regard. We'll keep an eye out for what happens to. We'll see what happens to old Valiente Jr. I honestly hope he's okay. I really, really do hope he's okay, because this was a shining star that I was excited to see what he was going to do here. And listen, I think one of the big stories of the tournament so far is how much fun Jun Kasai has been. How much fun he has been in this tournament. How good he's been too. And it's kind of shocking, you know. But he has had two, out of the 3 nights that we have so far, he's had 2 matches. Both of them have been really fun. And one of the matches is actually one of my favorite of the tournament. His match that he had with Kosei Fujita, which was on Saturday, right, on night 3, if I'm remembering this correctly. He was so much fun. The match sort of skewed into becoming a death match, where, you know, Kasai's running around. He's got the skewers, and he's busting open, like he's blading Fujita, who's on the floor early on in the match, right? Like, holy shit. Okay, all right, we're doing some real stuff. But even outside of the deathmatch stuff, Jun Kasai, friends, is 51 years old. He is my age. He was born the same year I am. I am older than him by a few months. And he is so fun. He's quick. He's mobile. For a guy who's spent his entire life battering and bruising his body, he's in incredible shape. His matches are snappy and fun, and they're well put together, and they're fun, just fucking fun. I am floored, in fact, at how good Jun Kasai has been so far. And the crowds love him, of course. Like, you know, first couple, did he show up? I think he did show up in Korakuen. Well, of course, Korakuen Hall fucking loves Jun Kasai. But now, you know, on the Saturday show, he shows up and just gets great reactions from the crowd. I'm like, fuck yeah. I was one of the apprehensive people going into this tournament, looking at Kasai and saying, is Kasai going to fit? Kasai's working New Japan, you know, and he's just been phenomenal. He's been absolutely phenomenal. It's so good, and you can tell. Here's something that's very, very interesting that I've noticed. You can tell that he is appreciated by the wrestlers. You can tell that he's appreciated by the people who are working the tournament with him. You can tell that they're happy to have him and that they're happy to work with him. Kosei Fujita during his match looked like he was having the time of his life. It was so much fun. It's sometimes, you know, when you have in pro wrestling, sometimes when you have the real emotions seep through, it just, you can feel it, and you know whatever you're watching here right now isn't entirely phony, you know? I think he's one of the, I think right now, 3 nights in, Jun Kasai is one of the biggest stories of the tournament, because he's doing his own thing, but also adapted in a way where he realizes it. Look, it's New Japan. It's not freedoms. We're not pulling out the light tubes. There's a certain way to do things. It's best of Super Juniors, etc., etc. Like, I see him now in this tournament, and I'm like, I can't wait to see what he does with Robbie X. I can't wait to see what he's going to do with fucking Nick Wayne. It's good. He's so good. it's just been so much fun so far. That's it. Like one of the big stories of the tournament right now is what he's doing. Is what he's doing. So, yeah, like I mentioned, I've been praising a lot of, of stuff happening in A block, but A block is really the better of the two. Let's be honest. Especially when you consider that B block has Sho and Sasaki at the top. Look, I am completely unfamiliar with Daisuke Sasaki. I'm unfamiliar with the body of his work. And I posted that on Blue Sky this weekend, and then I got a few people coming in giving me links. It's like, read this article, look at this, and there's Daisuke Sasaki super fans out there. There's people who are, who are like, hey Warren, if you don't understand it, allow this primer to walk you through, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, but at the same time, I shouldn't need a primer. He should be able to just like get into a ring and wrestle, and then I go, because right now I don't get it. I don't, and apologies to anyone in the chat right now who are like, oh no, Warren, what are you doing? Daisuke Sasaki is my favorite wrestler. I don't get it. I don't quite get it. He's a fine worker. He's not terrible. And, he's not as fucking annoying as Sho is. He's not as fucking annoying as Yo is. Though I can't stand either of these men in this tournament so far. But I don't understand the levels of fandom that I just don't get it. I don't quite understand it. But he's not terrible. Like, I'm not going to sit here and bury him. It's just like I don't quite understand it, why people were so incredibly into him joining the tournament. But listen, look, in the meantime, you've got him at the top, and he's there with Sho, and Sho can go kick rocks. But at the very least, like I said when we start, just at the start there a few minutes ago when we started talking, at the very least, all the bullshit that Sho's been involved in has all been quite short. On night one, they got rid of it. On night one, the match between Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, so it wouldn't weigh over the tournament for the entirety, right? Just like, no, they got rid of that fucking nonsense out the gate, and they did their shenanigans, and it lasted like 2 minutes, and I was like, I could not have been happier. Ready to move on. Then you have and then Yo's another guy who's sort of like, I don't say like given up. That would be the wrong way to do it, to say it, but he knows his career's not going any farther than where it is now. So, he's just a goofball now. He's just an absolute like dopey goofball, and I've got no use for him either. His match with Hyo, where I was excited to see, like, okay, let's see Hyo. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It could be Hyo, right? It's probably Hyo. His match with Hyo, like I was like, okay, let's see what they can do together, and it was just like, again, more nonsense, and both of them feeding into each other. Someone recently told me Yo should go to DDT, and he'd be happy there, and I'd be like, yes, he would. He'd fit in like a glove. He'd fit in like a glove in DDT, and I wouldn't have to see him again. It always baffles me how, like, even less than a decade ago, we were looking at both of these guys, at Sho and Yo, doing the Roppongi 3K thing and saying, my God, I can't wait for these guys to break out. They're so good. And particularly Sho. Where he'd go out and they'd started positioning him like he was a started positioning him like a power junior, right? Like this is a guy who could have transitioned easily to main roster, right? And they were putting him in these matches. He had like a trios of matches with Shingo Takagi, and they were excellent. And we were so stoked about the future of Sho Tanaka. And I'm sure he was stoked as well. And then somehow he became the junior for Evil's House of Torture, and it's been all downhill since. There is a timeline. Like we had Sho versus Robbie Eagles, right? Over the past couple of days. There is a timeline where we are legitimately excited for a Robbie Eagles Sho Tanaka match, but it's not our timeline, unfortunately. And that makes me sad. Anyway, look, in regards to these two guys being at the top, it is what it is. I think, Sho could stay at the top for a good part of the tournament, right? Like this is booking that we see oftentimes in New Japan, where it's like you're gonna have a heel hanging around at the top of the block, but then things are gonna slowly start falling apart, right? And Sasaki being at the top for now, that's fine, but he's not moving forward. Like he's just not moving forward in the tournament, so it is what it is. Same thing with Taguchi. Taguchi essentially probably had the three most he had his three clearest wins, I think. Maybe you could have another one with Robbie X, maybe. But Taguchi defeating Daiki Nagai and Master Wato and Valiente Jr., if that was indeed the plan. I think these are all plausible wins for Taguchi, but there's a bunch of guys here he's not defeating moving forward. I think the hardest part of his tournament is coming up, as far as who's left on the who's left to go. Right? Just like in B block, Desperado has only 2 points and 3 matches in, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull up my little stat board here. Yeah, he's 3 matches in and he has 2 points, so he only has 1 victory. That's not going to stay. That's not going to last. That's not going to last. Yoshinobu Kanemaru got a victory. Good for him. That will probably be one of his last. You're going to have Taiji Ishimori. Taiji Ishimori. Here's another guy that I typically sort of lift my nose at. I sort of poo-poo away whenever he gets involved in this fucking guy again, right? But he's motivated. He's been very good. He's been excellent even. He's been very, very, very good in this tournament so far. Look, I don't know what it is exactly, but maybe there's a combination of things. The combination being, on one hand, having a bunch of people from the outside, because there's quite a few outsiders in this tournament, coming in to participate, adding some freshness, some fresh matches. That's always fun. But also, the specter of Hiromu Takahashi not being there, maybe that helps. Where you're not feeling like they're booking the tournament and they're like, oh, right, we have to do something with Hiromu, right? Maybe that's part of the thing too. Like, I think it's curious. Look, it's curious at the very least that the first Best of the Super Juniors tournament since Hiromu Takahashi is no longer with the company is doing really good, feeling fresh, feeling interesting, keeping me excited. Anyway, if you're looking for match recommendations, you've come to the right place, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and by the way, Robbie X has been very good too. Robbie X, extremely underrated, beloved by the Japanese fans. The Japanese fans really, really love the Robbie X. Like if I'm New Japan He's in my upper crust of juniors. He's in my upper crust of juniors for sure. Here are my match recommendations. Jun Kasai Kosei Fujita, I talked about from night 3. It was on night 3, right? Yeah. Right? I don't remember. Hang on a second. I think it was from night 3. It was from night 3. Night 3 was very good. Night 3 was probably my favorite, my favorite night of the tournament so far. I think everything was solid, and then you land 2 like really excellent matches on it. So Jun Kasai and Kosei Fujita, and El Desperado versus Robbie Eagles, which was just a tremendous match, where they're working body parts. Despe favoring the knee. Eagles is working over and Eagles is working body parts as well. Just incredible stuff by both these guys, who are just tremendous, incredible workers. So both of those on night 3. You get then also Kosei Fujita versus Francesco Akira on night 1, the main event. Kosei Fujita, he's an incredibly solid worker, and he's getting more and more comfortable being in these top spots. Francesco Akira is a junior that I have always had an affection for, and ever since the House of not the House of Torture, but the United Empire went heel, it's brought out like the aggression in him, the heelishness, and I think it's only made him better. I think it's legitimately made him better. He's fired up. He's impulsive. There's depth to what he's doing. Anyway, main event of night 1 was great. So was Taiji Ishimori versus El Desperado on night 2. The main event from night 2. Surgical body part work, I should say. Ishimori trying to beat, Desperado working the knee, and Ishimori basically sacrificing his knee throughout the match to try to beat Desperado. Just fantastic stuff. And you got a couple of other sneaky bangers. You've probably heard of the Kushida Robbie Eagles barefoot grappling clinic that happened on night 1. That was a lot of fun. I will agree. The problem that happened now since from that point on is that everyone that Kushida has fought since, which are Sho and Daisuke Sasaki, have all said, hey, fight barefoot, we'll do the grappling thing. And of course those 2 guys are heels, and then, use that to their advantage. And both of those matches ended with some Mr. Socko callbacks. They're doing the mandible claw with Mankind, putting that damn dirty sock on his hand and then sticking it into the guy's mouth, and then they're passing out. So I hope they got that out of their system, and that Kushida's not going to do this anymore, because it's kind of dumb at this point. I don't know why he's letting himself be suckered into it by heels. On top of that, he should know. He should know the House of Torture is no good. And, he should just look at how Sasaki dresses, and he's like, okay, this is not a baby face. And just okay, we're not going to start grappling barefoot. I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing it anymore. Hopefully he's not doing it anymore, because it's played out at this point. So that's what we're going so far. Look, right now, it's a good tournament. The vibe is good. 3 nights in. On my little dopey rating scales, I've got 8 matches at 3.5 stars or higher. 2 main events at 4.25. 4 matches at 4 stars or higher. The bad stuff is super contained, very quick. Titan, Fujita, Robbie X, Francesco Akira, Jun Kasai, they're all having really great tournaments so far. Taiji Ishimori, Robbie Eagles. So there you go. If you're sleeping on it, I think you should give it a shot. It's been, if you're into it, if you want to see some high level pro wrestling by some of the best of the junior heavyweights out there, it's going well so far. And we haven't hit the midway part in the tournament yet, so we'll keep an eye on how things are going. And I'm enjoying it because and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting all my, I'm taking notes and I'm looking at everything and, watching all the matches and following every day. And I'm also warming up for the G1. I'm also warming up for the G1 Climax this summer. And I'm thinking to myself, because I have been legitimately wondering if I'm going to do the daily return to doing the daily G1 coverage like I did in years previous. Didn't do it last year because I was traveling in the US for a third of the tournament. So I was like, I'm not going to jump in and start doing coverage with 2/3 of the tournament yet to go. That doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking, I was thinking about doing it again this year, but I'm also hoping that New Japan is going to get good for the heavyweights. So that's my main concern. But I'm moving towards, yes, I'm going to do G1 coverage this year, daily G1 coverage this year. I'm leaning towards that. And maybe it's the juniors who are suckering me into doing it because it's been a good tournament so far. Maybe. Anyway. Hey, Mr. Antox, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. I thought you were going to say Jun Kasai was bullshit and I've been like, hang on. No. Absolutely not. He's been a bright, shining star so far. He's been a blast. How's Nick Wayne doing? As you noticed, I haven't talked about him. He's fine, but I don't know. Like, look, I want to extend some leeway towards young Nick Wayne, who has been gone from wrestling for months, hasn't been wrestling in a while. His first few matches, his first real matches back, outside of the AR Fox stuff last week, is here, right? So he's getting back into the vibe. It's, Japan, so it's, a different style than what he's used to. So it's probably quite a shock. I thought he's been doing fine. The match that he had on Saturday, who did he fight? Francesco Akira. I thought that was very good. And I thought that was his best match so far. Because he had other matches, like his match with Kosei Fujita was pretty good. But I also thought he was a little sloppy. And on night one, he had fought, I can't quite remember, just looking through my notes here, Robbie X. And I was very disappointed in this match because first and foremost, these guys know each other. Like, they've wrestled each other multiple times in the past. And I was rubbing my hands together and going, all right, they're about to go all out. And I thought Nick Wayne sort of dragged it down. I thought Nick Wayne wasn't absolutely not on par with what Robbie X was trying to do. So look, again, just 3 matches in the tournament. We've still got a long way to go. Nick Wayne is very good. He's a good wrestler. So, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, I'm not going to put him on the same level as fucking Show and Yo here. But I'm waiting for the breakthrough Nick Wayne performance in this tournament. Haven't seen it yet, but again, like, we're 3 matches in, so I don't want to sound like I'm being unreasonable here. Next year they should send Hook. Hook? Hook can't run with these people. I'm sorry. I would have to see Hook in a proper Japanese juniors match before sending, send Hook in this tournament. Look, do you remember a couple of years ago, Wheeler Yuta, when I think he was pure, I think it was during his run as pure champion, before the Death Riders, before the heel turn, he was sent to the tournament and we were all going, oh, cool. Good for him. You know, it's like Yuta, good little wrestler. So on. And he did not show up. It was like, wow. It was like nothing terrible, but just like so incredibly bog average. You're like, okay, this might have actually exposed him. Like Nick Wayne, Hook can't go in here for a learning experience. Hook has to come in here to show up. Because there are guys on this roster who are not going to be like, oh yeah, you want to come in here and I'll make you look good? No, that's not how it works. But a lot can happen in a year. But right now I'm like, I said, no, don't send Hook. Absolutely not. He's going to get super exposed. DSG RBS, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And to you as well, MLA all day. It's nice to have you both. All right. Let's get into these little tidbits of news that I have lined up here. Nothing really out of the ordinary. There's rumors going around, folks, that Baron Corbin is coming back to World Wrestling Entertainment to work at a 50% pay cut. Let's read this article off the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. WWE has discussed bringing back Baron Corbin. Corbin departed the company in November 2024 at the expiration of his contract. He has been wrestling for promotions such as Maple Leaf Pro, the NWA, and GCW as Bishop Dyer since what? Hasn't he done stuff with MLW? Hasn't he been in MLW, or did I dream that? Like, that's a little more notable, in my opinion, than Maple Leaf Pro, quite frankly. Like, I would have led in with that, unless I'm completely misremembering a thing. And he did show up in CMLL because of the MLW partnership, right? He's an MLW tag champion right now. Okay, well, there you go. See, why would you like Maple? I don't know if this is a troll. Maybe it's a troll. Maybe who wrote it? Ian Carey. Maybe he's trolling. I don't know. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Corbin's return has been, quote unquote, heavily talked about. Probably back in WWE, he said, I've not heard it's a done deal, but I know it's been talked about, yes. Meltzer also speculated that Corbin's return could be related to Danhausen's segment on WWE SmackDown this week, saying, quote, on the SmackDown show, when Danhausen was talking about something bigger, my gut was that my gut, speaking of gut, I have never felt so disgusting. I have never felt so disgusting on stream. You know, even those times, even when it gets really fucking hot here during the summer and I'm sweating my life out, I've never felt that as disgusting as I do right now. On the SmackDown show, when Danhausen was talking about something bigger, my gut was that's who it is. That's just my speculation, but I just know that he's been talked with about bringing, Christ, Dave, help me out, help a brother out. But I know that he's been talked with about being brought in. Jesus, Dave. I know I'm very roundabout too. I'm not casting stones from a glass house here, but sometimes, you could help me out here, David. It might even be done, but I haven't had it officially confirmed to me it's done. But I have 100% confirmed it's been heavily talked about. Corbin spent 12 years with WWE from 2012 to 2024. During his time with the company, he was the 2017 Men's Money in the Bank winner. I'm sure we all remember that. The 2019 King of the Ring winner. Oh yeah, no, I do remember him winning the Money in the Bank. And then he did something stupid, and then they punished him by having him lose the briefcase, like to John Cena or something. What was the thing that he did? I think he posted something online, right? But he did do something, and they punished him by having him lose the briefcase. And I think it was to Cena too, right? And then everyone was like, why are you giving the briefcase to John Cena? Who cares? 2019 King of the Ring winner and the 2016 Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. Why put that in? Like, that is like, don't put that in. It doesn't matter. Like, as far as accomplishments in pro wrestling go, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is the consolation prize to everyone else not being booked on WrestleMania. They don't even put the fucking thing on WrestleMania anymore. Stop it. And a one-time United States champion and a one-time NXT tag team champion with Braun Breaker. In 2018, he was voted worst gimmick and most overrated in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Why would you add this? Wait, Ian, why would you put that? He also won most overrated in 2019. Why would you do this, Ian? That's savage. Holy fuck. It's like, look at all the things he won. And also, worst gimmick, most overrated, 2 years in a row. That's fucking funny. Okay, so what are my thoughts? I don't care. I've never really cared about Baron Corbin. I hear he's a lovely gentleman. Look, if we go back to when he was released, I was completely floored that he was like, I'm coming out to hit the ground. I'm going to hit the ground running. And he's like, I'm going to continue wrestling. Because I thought this was a guy, because this is a guy, all he knew was WWE. So to me, I thought he was going to be like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm going to sit at home. I was probably really smart with my money. Got all sorts of stuff stacked, and I've got business interests, and I'm going to sit home and I'm going to make steak cooking videos. And because that's actually the content that I appreciate the most from Baron Corbin. And that's it. And that's all I'm going to do moving forward. So to my surprise, next thing I hear, like, yeah, he kind of want to come. He wants to run in New Japan. You know, what's the word I'm looking for? The thought, the belief was that, what was it, last year? I think it was. Yes, it was last year. The common belief is that he was supposed to be in last year's New Japan Cup, but New Japan installed a new policy in regards to them bringing in foreign talent, where they were going to do it less. And a lot of people thought that it was connected to money issues, because a lot of these guys don't come cheap. But there was also the idea that, some of the recent investments that New Japan had done in having foreign stars come in didn't quite pan out. Thinking about Nick Nemeth, thinking about Matt Riddle. But yeah, like from what was going around at the time, he was penciled in to be in the New Japan Cup, and then something happened, it fell through, and they brought Dave Finlay in instead. That was essentially, Dave Finlay was not supposed to be in the tournament. He took his spot. So listen, I was all surprised about this. I was shocked. And I was like, I kind of would have liked to see Baron Corbin in New Japan, even though I don't care. Maybe he would have gotten me to care. And I would have been like, oh, listen, this is all the talent that's been hiding. This is where, it could have been a real, explosive coming out moment for Baron Corbin, professional wrestler. But instead, it didn't quite work out. And you could tell he wanted. He had conducted interviews, and I think, he was disappointed. Like, he did one with the Van Vliet, and you could tell he was a little bummed out that he didn't get to go to Japan. But then got the gig in MLW, which allowed him to go to Arena Mexico and Maple Leaf Pro. Listen, the rumor also, why didn't he go to AEW? Well, the rumor going around is that they didn't want him there. But he did work a dark match, right? Didn't he work a dark match? I'm pretty sure he did. I think they brought him in and they gave him they gave the Bishop Dyer the old look over, right? Yeah. Earlier this year, he was in there with the Better Together guys and Martin Stone, aka Danny Burch. That didn't work out. I mean, your TK, you look at this guy is not made for Tony Khan. Tony Khan looks at him and is like, all right, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So, it's like, okay, it is what it is. And look, if you consider all of that, and then the guy is just like, he's going to get a call to come back to WWE. I'm like, why? Like, you have to wonder, why bring this guy back, right? And I'm being absolutely serious, chat. What does Baron Corbin bring to the table that you have to bring him back after deciding to release him all not that long ago? What makes you go, oh, what's making you go, oh, shoot, and slapping yourself on the forehead, going, man, we really fucked up with that Baron Corbin guy. Because he's not exactly tearing up the independent circuit right now. It's not like he's unlocked the secret sauce to Baron Corbin where you're like, oh shit, like I said, if he had gone to Japan and we had all realized and be like, oh shit, this is the Baron Corbin, right? What does he have? Look, I understand, the Danhausen gimmick, he's reviving people from the dead in his makeshift fucking, his makeshift mad scientist lab, right? I get it. But why this guy? Why wouldn't you bring back, Braun Strowman? If we're talking about people from that era or whatnot, why not bring back Braun Strowman then? Because then on top of that, Braun Strowman has a successful food show on USA. Just bring that guy back. He's at least shown his worth outside of the WWE? What does Baron Corbin have? What is this thing? What is this thing that everyone seems to see in Baron Corbin, but I don't? And probably that a lot of you don't either. Outside of him being quite possibly just like a perfect soldier. Just, a guy who will always toe the line, who'll do what he's told, will never, he's probably real easy to work with. For a long time, he was Vince's pet project, right? When he was doing the, Vince liked him because he made Vince laugh. Because Vince would send him out there and have him do all the goofiest shit, get him covered in, fucking dog food. And Vince would love the guy. So if you're making Vince laugh, you're going out there and Vince is going to keep you close. When did Baron Corbin change? When did Baron Corbin change? It's when Vince was gone and Triple H took over. Then they started to make him the god of pro wrestling. You remember that with the pairing with JBL? And that was the swan song. That was the thing that drove the nail into the coffin, where it's like, no, this is not how you handle Baron Corbin, because he's not a great pro wrestler. He's a goof. He's a goofy guy. And Baron Corbin was probably just going along with it, going, yep, yes, sir. Can I have some more, sir? Because I would assume that's his biggest quality, that he's very, very easy to work with. Always does what he's told. A good soldier. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes in your company, you need a guy who is, not exactly, sometimes you want a guy who is not like the biggest talent, the greatest talent, but will just be a breeze to work with. Sometimes you want that. You don't want sand in the gears at every fucking turn, every time you crank the machine, right? I'm sure there's more than enough people backstage who throw more than enough sand within the gears. But, look, good for him. Good for him, legitimately. Of course, he is in no way going to be working for the money he used to make, which is probably the reason he was fired in the first place. But now TKO has all restructured the deals, right? So maybe they're going to start approaching people that they've released in the past with these new deals. Maybe that'll be a thing. And these people like Baron Corbin, seeing that, oh man, like it's kind of hard out there. It's kind of difficult out there to make a name for yourself on the indies and work, and working for yourself, and and going to all of these small venues, and could be a little disheartening for someone who works for WWE, who has the nice locker rooms and the catering and so on and so forth, that you're treated nicely. You've got the talent people, the people from talent services who are there. It's different. So I'm sure he's like, yeah, okay, I'll go back to the old life, even if it means I'm working for 50% less. It could be. And I'm telling you, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but I'm going to mention it again since we're talking about the 50% contracts. This is not just going to affect WWE people. This is going to affect AEW, and at least it's also going to affect AEW contracts. And what I mean by that is, look, I don't necessarily expect Tony Khan to sit down and start renegotiating with everyone, right? But for the new hires who are going to be coming in, knowing what WWE's new rates are, I think Tony is not going to be laying down as much money as he used to try and bring these people in. I think now that it's clear that people get restructured and they're working for half the price, well, Tony's not going to feel as compelled to throw the bank at people because TKO is clearly not interested in throwing the bank to keep them. Look at what they did with Santos Escobar. They did exactly that, and they fired him anyway. So it's going to be interesting on that front. Because without a doubt, this decision that TKO made is going to influence the contracts, the amount of money that TKO is putting out there, and is probably going to influence the renegotiations as well. You know, I don't think Tony Khan is going to sit down with the elite in a couple of years, or John Moxley, and is going to say, well, fellas, 50% off now. You know, I don't think he's going to do that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is he's probably not going to throw as much money around as he used to. So that'll be good for him. It's going to be bad for talent, but it's going to be good. Like Chad said right here, it's going to be good for him, but it's going to be bad for talent ultimately. Because there won't be as much back and forth. The talent already does the talent negotiating with TKO won't have as much leverage to go back to Tony Khan and ask for more money as they did just about a year ago. Unless you are like prime talent, right? Unless you're Roman Reigns, you're Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, you know, the Bucks, Kenny Omega. I would assume that both sides would throw incredible amounts of money to bring these people in. Hangman Page, you know, I think those people are probably going to be okay. Anyway. Well, that should lead us to our next topic, in fact, where Matt Hardy brought some wisdom here. Talking about how pro wrestlers unionizing could put smaller companies out of business. Oh, gee, Willikers, no. Let's read this article off of the Figure 4 Online, The Observer. The idea of pro wrestlers unionizing has been a hot topic in 2026. In 2026, it's always been a topic, with a number of WWE names reportedly being asked to take pay cuts by TKO in recent months. Speaking on his Extreme Life podcast, former WWE star Matt Hardy, why not just say current? Why not just say TNA star, TNA superstar, and former WWE star Matt? Anyway, former WWE star Matt Hardy explained why unionizing could actually cause smaller promotions to go out of business, despite it being a positive for performers at the bigger promotions. Quote, wrestling is so different to traditional acting. Like with WWE and AEW, with the financial backing that those two companies have, that is something that could be feasible, unionizing. It could be possible there, and I could see where they could unionize to a degree, but it would be hard for other companies to do that. Some other companies would just be out of business because they wouldn't be able to handle that. They wouldn't be able to cover all of that, covering a certain amount of insurance. Look, I'm coming straight out the gate with the waving the flag. This is the biggest fucking amount of bullshit that I have I've read in a while, and if wrestlers became unionized, if wrestlers became members of the Screen Actors Guild of ACTRA, they would then get all of the benefits, etc., right? And so on and so forth. And yes, it would fundamentally change the business. It would fundamentally change the business. for the better. And yes, there would be companies that would not be able to survive the transition, especially the promotions, who barely pay anything for their performers. But out of that would rise a certain amount of solid, legitimate companies who would be able to carry this moving forward. There would be a transitional period where the companies that sit around paying wrestlers $25 a night and then the promoter stuffing his pockets with everything, they would absolutely disappear, whereas others who would be judicious and think about how things are going and plan, and then look into grants, because then if these are all things that are these are considered more art performance based, well, then you can go get some grants and things like that to help support your artistic endeavors. You can do this. But this idea that immediately there's this death knell across the business, it's like, no, it won't. It doesn't, it does. Again, the companies, the promotions that are already exploiting the talent that works for them would probably go under. And I would agree, or not agree, but I would say that it's probably then a better thing. Because what the smaller companies, and I'm not saying all of them are, because there are likely some good ones who would find the transition to be very difficult and would probably go under. But then you have a whole bunch of them where it's like, where the worst promoters would just disappear off the face of the earth. And I think ultimately that's a win. It would be a very difficult transition for the business, for the indies to do this. It would be extremely difficult for that to happen. That is unquestionable. But sometimes you have to cull. You have to do a purge. That's all there is to it. And this type of discourse, well, a guy like Matt Hardy, who has made his money and, is probably, him and Jeff, quite possibly the two highest paid guys in TNA. I would assume. I don't see anyone else, but they're probably the two highest paid guys in. Of course, they're going to go around saying, no. Unionizing is bad because it's going to destroy. At least he's not saying, at least he's putting it on the back of, well, honest businesses are not going to be able to sustain themselves. At least he's doing that. But in reality, Matt Hardy, just like every other top guy pro wrestler in the business where they're at the top of the food chain, they will always say unionizing is bad. Just top to bottom. That's just typically how it goes. That's just how it goes. Every fucking time. Hogan took it down in the 80s. There'd been rumbles in the meantime, and it's always the guys and gals on the lower card who are eating shit in compared to the part-timers who come in and work, 3 months in the year where they fly to every show every week. They work the house shows. They do everything. And yet the big time part-timers, they get the big salaries. I mean, that's not fair. That's not fair. Hardy would go on to say that getting unionization would be great for the performers at bigger companies, as it could also mean that the independent contractor status at smaller promotions might have to truly be independent contractor deals. Here's this quote: as far as being able to have some sort of unionization where there was some sort of control and people were regulated, that would be great. The smaller companies, I feel, they would have to kind of carve out their own niche where you would have to be independent contractors, but you would truly be independent contractors. I feel like myself and Jeff, we are like the epitome of independent contractors right now at TNA. As long as we do their TV dates, we're all good. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, anyway. And he's so close, though. He's so very close to saying what really does need to be said. Again, let's say pro wrestlers did become Screen Actors Guild, ACTRA. Let's say they did become the SAG-AFTRA. They did enter that sphere. Then all of the skills that they bring to the table are then recognized officially by their union and by producers who work with those unions. So what I'm saying is that a wrestler then, let's say their career's winding down or whatever, they could turn to the union and say, well, look, I've been doing professional wrestling for years. Professional wrestling then would have a categorization of, let's say, stunt work. So, I'm thinking Battle Arts, but that's an old wrestling promotion. Fight choreography and stuff like that. So producers, casting directors themselves could be looking towards these guys, and they could look towards pro wrestlers and say, well, okay, let's have these people come on, and because they're unionized. All of these skills that they've developed can be transferable to other SAG-AFTRA productions. Same thing goes with public speaking, with acting. Like the one of the main issues that pro wrestlers have, like even outside the money, is that the skills that they develop doing pro wrestling aren't transferable easily to unionized work because they're not unionized in what they're doing. It's not recognized. They didn't pay their dues and so on and so forth. And so, and that's a huge part of the problem here. That's a huge deal here. Because, not every wrestler is going to have is going to be like Roman Reigns and is going to be getting bit parts in films and stuff like that, right? Not every wrestler is going to be like a John Cena or a Dave Bautista or a Dwayne Johnson that focused on their movie career and decided to go all in on that. Sometimes you could get a wrestler who just gets a couple of parts in a couple of movies and then develops another expertise. And then maybe it's like, yeah, I don't need wrestling anymore. I'm having a great career as a stuntman, as a voice actor, as whatever the fuck, right? And so the transfer of knowledge, of skills that the wrestlers have is just not happening. And this is one of the massive benefits of unionization. The pay is one thing, but expanding your career in performing arts, that's huge. And that's something we don't often hear. That's something we don't talk about enough because people don't quite understand how it works, and that's fine. But Matt here, he was so very close. Oh, they could all be independent contractors, truly independent contractors. Yes, because then you could have so many openings to go do whatever you want after. I mean, they're openings, opportunities. That doesn't mean you're going to be showered with work, See, all of this stuff is very, the non-union work and and independent contractors and all that. It's all become very normalized in pro wrestling with throughout the years, right? But it's not normal. It in any other area of entertainment, this kind of stuff is not normal. Especially when it comes to conditions like the ancillary stuff, right? Remember a few years ago, Bailey did an interview with, I can't remember who. She did an interview on TV where the interviewer was like, it was just a nice little sit down thing. And then And then Bailey was talking about, you know, the interviewer asked her something to the effect of, well, you know, what kind of work goes into being a professional wrestler when you're on the road? How's the road life? Something like that. And then Bailey's like, oh, well, you know, we got to book our cars. And, you know, unless there's really long distances, well, then the company will book our flights, but we book our cars, we book our hotels. And the interviewer just like stopped and like, wait, you book your own flight? You book your cars and your hotels? You pay for them? And Bailey's like, yeah. Yes, you know. And the interviewer, who's worked in, you know, entertainment for you know, for God knows how long, you know, she's like, okay, that's a little weird. Doesn't your producer pay for this? Because they should, right? And Bailey was sort of taken aback at how stunned the interviewer was. It's like, wait, you mean this is not normal? No, it's not normal. You shouldn't be doing that. You're the talent. You know, it's like they should be taking care of you. You know, but these dopey traditions are so they're ingrained and normalized in pro wrestling. So, you know, look, I'm still baffled at these types of comments from wrestlers, but I swear to God, like if Matt Hardy had not had the career that he had and has still today, he would not be going around saying, yeah, you know what? It's the little guys who are going to suffer. No, they really aren't. Like around here, look, around here, you know, theater companies and troops, they start up all the time. And they all do union work. And some of them outlast the others. Some of them aren't around anymore. Some of them still are. Some of them who are still around, well, because they're still around for multiple reasons, because of, you know, the actors that they hired and the productions they put on, the quality of the productions, and so on and so forth. It's the same thing with, yeah. That's what at that point, the free market takes over. Because I don't know what Matt Hardy's look, again, I know promoters who are very, very good guys. And who I don't want to give the impression that I'm throwing all promoters under the bus here and saying, well, they're all scumbags, right? But and they would probably find a transition to doing union work to be very, very difficult, right? I understand that. But I can't help but think at the same time, the amount of promoters out there who are severely underpaying and not looking after the wrestlers and not making sure that they have the proper conditions to work in, I think those could, all they need to do is straighten their act up or get the fuck out. And what if the promotions that are are able to move on in a unionized environment, what if they start using less talent? You know, what if the shows are a lot more compact? And the wrestlers that you see there are, you know, they're more top of the line. What if the shows improve? I don't know. Like, I understand it's a very complex situation. It's a very complex question. But for me, Matt Hardy coming out and saying, no, unions are not good because of this, I'm like, oh, fuck off. Never mind Matt Hardy. Never mind a guy who's at the top of the business. Maybe not at the top of the business, but at the top of the company he's working for, who is a legend in the business, who has made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. I'm not worried about Matt Hardy in the slightest. Not in the slightest. All right. Let's go back here and say hello to Jay Luthi. Nice to see you, brother. Welcome to the chat. Also member of the channel, Baron Corbin can wrestle in slacks. That's right. That's a skill. 2 paychecks in and he's into his return. He gets the call to discuss the contract restructuring. Hell yeah. Rory Starks, nice to see you. Rory, welcome to the chat. They'll bring back Baron Corbin on condition he does a drop-in promo for Weber Grills every segment at least twice. Hey, with the way TKO handles things, I'm sure they'd be super duper comfortable with that. I'm sure it'd make perfect sense. TKO made AEW more profitable going forward, and that's a bad thing for Talon. TK has shown he'll stand by his deals, but it diminishes upward pressure on salaries. Exactly. Different than acting, not according to Vince and Trips. They make movies about wrestling. Look, I mean, this has always been like the utmost hypocrisy, right? This has always been the true to form hypocrisy where you've got Vince McMahon who says, oh, you know, we make movies, pal, you know, sports entertainment and all of that. But then we'll turn around and not see his talent as actors, as professional entertainers, but more like sports entertainers, which is a term that is empty and you know doesn't mean anything. So that's also a way to get around stuff that happens, like, you know, regulation sometimes with sports commissions and stuff like that. Like that's the huge that and yet but then they'll go negotiate their terms with their media partners and they go, oh yeah, no, sports. Yeah, we're a sports property. It's like, fuck off. Like, you know, they have to pick a lane. Well, they don't have to, but they should. Wrestlers will never unionize because they're carnies. I mean, not wrong. Regional theater still happens despite there being actors, guilds, and unions. I know. Yeah. It's so stupid. Like, it really, really is dumb. It's, you know, I think that reviewing how professional wrestling operates, particularly on the indies, would probably lead to a better product overall. And I think there'd be attrition, don't get me wrong, but I think overall it would be beneficial. Travis, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. The interviewer was aghast she had to pay for her own car and hotels. Yeah, just completely. You know what I had heard? You remember the show? What was the show on the network? The WWE Ride Along. You remember that show? You know, where they'd have the little cameras and little dashboard cameras as the wrestlers are going from town to town, and they'd film the banter, and the wrestlers wouldn't get extra money for that, but WWE would pay for the rental. WWE would like, well, listen, we'd like to, we have this show, it's called Ride Along, and you guys have cameras in the car and you just banter throughout the way, all throughout, and then we and then we'll take the content and whatnot. And apparently, from what I had heard, the wrestlers who were on Ride Along did not get paid, but WWE did pay for the rental in these circumstances. Crazy. A union would not let that happen. I'll tell you what. I want to get to the questions, but so we'll breeze through these. MLW announces a partnership with Stardom. MLW is so fucking funny. I think it's the funniest promotion on earth. They're teasing like a galaxy of promotions. Have you seen like their thing? Their graphic. Then they got like a promotion with CMLL and New Japan and Stardom, and they have like other branches that haven't been announced. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my fucking God. MLW and Stardom's working relationship will officially begin next month with 2 Stardom wrestlers coming into New York City and Philadelphia. It was announced that Stardom's Saya Kamitani and Rina will debut for MLW at the Melrose Ballroom in New York City on Thursday, June 11. The 2 will then compete at MLW's events in Philadelphia that weekend, June 12 to 13. Details regarding their matches have not yet been revealed. Kamitani and Rina are both members of the Hate faction in Stardom. Last year, Kamitani made history by becoming the first women's wrestler to win MVP in the long-running Tokyo Sports Awards. She is a former World of Stardom champion and New Japan Strong Women's champion. Who cares about the Strong Championship? With a focus on talent exchange and creative collaboration, MLW and Stardom unveiled their new strategic partnership over the weekend. I'm sorry, it's incredibly funny. The move fits in with Stardom's international expansion strategy, which is to partner with existing promotions instead of staging standalone Stardom events in foreign countries. Shotzi Blackheart, Lady Frost, and Scarlett Bordeaux are some of the top names in the MLW women's division who could potentially play a role in this partnership. MLW is currently in the process of relaunching its weekly Fusion TV series. It's always, even when Fusion was on TV, MLW was still in the process of relaunching it. There's no word on a return date yet, but that announcement is said to be imminent. The promotion has been holding TV tapings for a few months now in preparation for the relaunch, and will continue to film content at these NYC Philly events. Don't get me wrong. Good for MLW. I am so glad we are in an era now where there is so much back and forth and collaboration between these big promotions. And trust me here, Stardom is a big promotion. Stardom is the number 2 promotion in Japan right now. It's creeping up on ye old New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is top-notch stuff, right? So Stardom does want, look at, just as a parenthesis, look at everything that's happened to Stardom since they got rid of Rossi, right? Anyway, don't want to go down that road. I do want to get to the questions that you guys and gals and non-binary pals have. So, anyway, I don't watch MLW. I've got no pony in this race. I don't give a shit, but I'm happy. I'm happy that this kind of stuff is happening. This is good, right? I remember when Court used to call into Observer Live. Exactly. And it's tremendous. It's tremendous now that we're in this spot. It's crazy what winning a lawsuit against WWE can do. Well, I say winning, excuse me. Settling out of court with WWE. It's crazy what it'll do for you. The point that I do want to bring up here is that, folks, honestly, Saya Kamitani, Rina is also a star. She's a rising star in the company. She's tremendous as well. But particularly, let's focus on Saya Kamitani, right? Like the star in Japanese professional wrestling today, right? And absolutely like a force of nature type of thing. There's no fucking way she's coming to the United States just to work MLW. And I don't want to sound like I'm poo-pooing Major League Wrestling, but there is no chance. With a Forbidden Door pay-per-view on the same horizon as to when she's coming over, on which the logo of Stardom appears on the materials for Forbidden Door, there is no fucking way they are bringing in Saya fucking Kamitani to the United States without her working an AEW show. If it does happen, I am going to be so impressed by Court Bauer. I am going to be so fucking impressed. Anyway, those are my thoughts overall. Bring in Rena too. Rena's great. Rena's another, she's another bring in SLK. Bring in Azumi. Bring in, well, I was going to say Hazuki, but she's already running she'll be here in a couple of weeks. Like there's so many people you could bring in. I'll bring back Maki Ito. It's fine. It's fine. I may be turning a leaf on Maki Ito, people. Okay, get off my fucking back. She's putting in the work. She's doing good work. I'm not going to shit on her if she's doing good work. I'm going to be fair. I'm always fair. Anyway, it's funny. Look, it's humorous. It's funny. And like Travis says in the chat, MLW has tricked me into thinking about taking them seriously too many times. You cannot take MLW too seriously. That's the grift. This is what makes Cord Bauer a prime carny, right? Is that you will start beginning that to believe that this promotion is a serious piece of business. And then all of a sudden he's going to do something like he's going to start announcing shows have, are sold out and have this crazy attendance. But then people who are going to have been there live are going to be saying, what? No, there was never like 5,000 people here. That's impossible. Cord Bauer is the best worker in professional wrestling. Cord Bauer is the last of the great wrestling promoters. He legitimately is he is the last of the great pro wrestling promoters in everything that encompasses, with everything that means. MLW squeezing the name on their name on CMLL and Stardom banners is such top-notch work. It's so good. It's so good. No, it should be admired, yes, but it should be studied. It should be studied. Paul White apparently has re-signed with AEW. We've got another article off the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. Former WWE World Heavyweight Champion Paul White has now reportedly, that's crazy, isn't it? Has now reportedly re-signed a new contract with AEW. White, currently a backstage present in AEW, has now decided to extend his stay with the promotion, as per a report from Fightful Select. According to sources close to Fightful Select, White's contract with the company was set to expire earlier this year. However, it is now believed that he agreed to a new deal to stay with AEW, although Fightful has not yet learned the contract length. It is believed he is firmly under contract. Look, okay, let's finish up this little bit of content here. White had previously expressed his interest in staying with AEW in his final few years. Despite not having retired completely, Paul last wrestled in 2024 and is currently undergoing a weight loss transformation. The 54-year-old joined AEW in 2021 and is now reportedly set to stay with the promotion for the next few years at least. I think what happened here is exactly what happened to Chris Jericho, where he threw out some feelers. I was like, oh, wait, you're going to be paying me how much, TKO? No. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, I'm sure he would have been completely comfortable going back for WWE and, getting his Hall of Fame ring and all this. Or is he already in the Hall of Fame? I don't know, because I don't care. But getting all of his, the adulation of the WWE universe, right? And he's like, no, it's fine. And they were like, oh, they would have threw him something. They would have given him some kind of deal. But we all know the deals are not as good as they used to be. And that's exactly what happened with Chris Jericho, right? Well, speculatory, of course. We don't know exactly. But one would assume, because everything was so fucking sure. Everyone was so, there was chatter that from WWE that Jericho was coming in, and it was a thing. It was just, everyone had sort of made peace with the fact that Chris Jericho is no longer going to be in AEW. What do you think prevented Jericho from going back? The money, and probably seeing the dog shit creative as well. You know, Jericho is probably more sensitive to that than a lot of guys are. And he's probably saw this fucking, the last few months, and he's like, no, fuck this shit. I'm not throwing my hat back into this. Plus, you're giving me how much? No. So, I mean, look, I want to say good for Paul White for continuing to steal money from AEW. I don't know what he's a backstage presence. What does that mean? What does he do? Is he a trainer? Is he what does he do? There's so many fucking people backstage that do backstage things. What does Paul White do? I mean, I have nothing against Paul White. Again, this is a guy that I hear very often that he's a sweetheart. He's a nice guy. So it's like, I don't mind him when he's on my TV. It doesn't bother me. But he's also not someone where I'm champing at the bit for no more BS Paul White. I'm not, it's not something I'm looking forward to. So, and he's never on TV. They had him on, what was it? Was it Dynasty Chat? Where he was on the pre-show and he was gassed. He was not looking good. And then they cut to a segment. And then they come back and he's gone. It's just, to start off, it was Renee and RJ and Jeff and him. And then they cut to a segment, they come back, he's gone, and it's just the other three who do the pre-show for the rest of the pre-show. Everyone thought he was gonna fucking keel over. He looked awful. I mean, he might have just had indigestion. Digestion's not great. Yeah, look, anyway, it's fine. Good for him. I have no idea what he does for this company. I have no idea what he does for AEW. I have no clue. Excuse me. This is preposterous. But good for him. Would TKO have paid him anything? Yeah, exactly. We can give you tickets to UFC shows, Paul. Excuse me. Holy smokes. I'm getting worse all of a sudden. Paul White realized that he can keep getting money if he doesn't shit on the company like Mark Henry. Thing is, Mark Henry's a dummy. And I don't think Paul White is. But Mark Henry is a legitimate dumb guy. I don't think Paul White is a dumb guy. I really don't. Did we ever figure out what happened to him on the pre-show? I haven't heard a thing. I don't know. I haven't read any reports. Nothing. I think it definitely happened with Jericho. I'm less sure it happened with Paul. I don't think TKO even considered a serious even considered a serious bidder for Paul. I could see the argument of them saying, hey, we're going to attract someone from AEW, right? We'll just get someone off of Tony's roster. And if anything, just to have Tony have to shell out more money, make him pay more. That could have been a strategy too. Jericho didn't want to get smashed by Gunther. There might be some of that. I mean, why would you put any faith into WWE's dog shit creative? I always assumed Paul White was brought to keep the WWE signings in check, but apparently not. He did a really bad. He probably got demoted if that was his job. He took that slam in the car. That's all that matters. Yeah. Boris, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Where is Philip Jack Brooks? That's a big talking point, right? People are like, where's CM Punk? Where's CM Punk? It's not unprecedented. And you know, as much as this is a podcast that we enjoy, no, we don't enjoy. Excuse me. It's underselling. We revel in the chaos of Phil Brooks and CM Punk. I think that there's nothing here. I think this idea that CM Punk is no longer on TV and whatnot, I think these are all nothing burgers. I think that it's just a lot of smoke screens and it doesn't matter. I think everything related to, like, I'm trying to say too many things at once. It's not unprecedented that a champion who loses their title at WrestleMania then takes a bit of a break and disappears off TV and you don't see him for a while. This is not unprecedented, folks. People are acting like this is a huge sign that Punk is, you know, upset for some reason and that Mount Brooks is about to explode. And I don't think this is the case. I think this is standard procedure. I think it's standard procedure. I know there's rumors flying around that there's probably, like Boris says, issues between TKO and Phil and his amount of money, but I do not think that Phil Brooks is a guy that they're going to restructure a deal. I feel very good about that. And I know Ibu is fanning a lot of these flames, but until I actually hear something that says, yeah, CM Punk is upset, period, there, upset, I'm like, nah, right now, it all seems like conjecture and fabrication for a situation, CM Punk being off TV, a situation that has precedent that we've seen multiple times before. I'm not getting excited over this. But let me tell you folks something. The minute we start hearing that CM Punk is indeed, that Mount Brooks is indeed erupting, we are going to be on that like flies on shit. Trust me. Because we revel in the chaos of CM Punk. Kristen, hi, darling. Welcome to the chat. Folks, you got to be nice to Kristen. She had a huge day at work. She did a bit of overtime. She was a team player. But she had a rough day. You got to be nice to her. Warren, do you know who took the 50% pay cut? Apparently all the wrestling media know who it is. I'm not wrestling media, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm speculating on the same levels as all of you do. I think it's Randy Orton. And this is pure speculation, but I think it's Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton's main event, WrestleMania main event, was a test. I think it was a test, and they saw that it didn't draw money. They saw that he shit the bed. That wasn't very good, and they were like, "This guy's not worth the squeeze." I can only fathom at how many zeros. I can only fathom the amount of zeros. I think it's Gargano or Miz. Miz is also a very good candidate for that. I could ask around and find out, but I also don't really care. It'll come out at some point and I'll talk about it. And it'll be like, all right, it's fine. Gargano took a pay cut down to discounts on his Disney annual pass. Exactly. All right. But I don't want to sound like I'm being dismissive, Boris. Because I appreciate the questions and it's fine, and I will always answer as honestly as I can into my knowledge. It's fine. But I'm not going to start writing. I'm not going to start writing people in media, going, "Hey, who took the 50%?" That's weird. Especially since I don't do scoops and stuff like that. Why do you want to know? What the fuck do you want? They're all going to leave me on red. Hell no. I don't do scoops. I think it's fine. I let someone else get to the bottom of it, and then we'll throw it out there. And then I'll spend an hour ranting about it. That's fun. That's why I'm here. All right, let's get to the questions. I did some good because you're probably wondering, who's the former NXT champion who re-signed with TNA Wrestling? Oh well, it's Indy Hartwell. Let's move on to the questions. let's just move on. Oh wait, not music just yet. No music just yet. No music just yet. All right. Question time. I'm glad y'all think it's funny. As funny as I thought it was. I thought it was pretty funny. We got a couple of questions here. Sports and Things Shows asks, who makes the most sense to beat Willow for the TBS title? Sari. Of the recent WWE releases, excluding New Day and Motor City Machine Guns, do you see any realistic fits for AEW? Outside of those two, do we have a list? Like I can barely remember who else was recently released there. Let's see, release WWE people. Okay, including Kairi Sane. Okay, I have the list here. I'm gonna go through it fairly quickly because I did go into it in detail when these releases happen on stream and on the podcast. But Kairi Sane, I don't think she'll ever come to AEW. She's going back to Japan. I think she's going to continue being a WWE ambassador, which whatever it is. Aleister Black is probably not welcome. Zelina Vega, no. Bo Dallas, no. Nikki Cross, no. Santos Escobar, a healthy Santos Escobar would be interesting because he's a very good worker. But I think he could end up in CMLL. There's history, there's things there, but he could potentially end up in CMLL and then, by the back door, maybe work some AEW shows. But, it's fine. Motor City Machine Guns. Well, yes, I think they should get there in AEW. Dexter Lumis, no. Apollo Crews, you kick the tires on at the very least. I don't know if he has a spot, but I don't know. WWE has conditioned me into not caring about this man, but he's a very good pro wrestler. He was at a time an excellent pro wrestler. At the very least, he kicked the tires on him, right? Rowan, I know he's done things with AEW in the past, but no, AEW is not a big man promotion, so it wouldn't be good for him there. Joe Gacy, I don't think so. No. Andre Chase, no. Zoe Stark, maybe. Alba Fire, absolutely yes. Tyra May Steele, I don't know who that is. Serena Linton, I don't know who that is. Tyson, I don't know who that is. Tyriek, don't know who that is. Chris Island, don't know who that is. Malik Blade, know the name, don't know who that is. Trill London, know the name, don't know who that is. Luca Crucifino, nah. The New Day, yes. JC Mateo, no. Tongaloa? Absolutely not. Anakin JMT left a question. I want to hear your thoughts on Corbyn possibly returning to the Fed. Well, that was a scheduled topic for tonight. Oh, let's see what chat is saying here in regards to my flurry of answers here. What's Kyrie following TK on Instagram fake? He was following. I don't know. I don't know. How much does a follow on Instagram or on social media matter? You know. Yuha Nation with MXM instead of Johnny would be nice. I guess I have no use for John Morrison, so I will agree. Yes, we do have to call him Yuha Nation. Correct. My bad. We have to go back to that. I mean, the list I was reading was from RWWE, so it was all the WWE names, and I was just listing them off. Cubs fan Rob Viper said they expect Escobar to turn up in CMLL in hopes of getting a dub deal. If it doesn't work as planned, Escobar will disappear. That makes sense. Show up in CMLL. And I'm pretty sure the CMLL people will be on to him too. But there's history there that they have to sort of overcome first and foremost. Wait a second, Jeff Cobb and Samoa Joe could go around killing everyone. See, that's it. It's like I practically got into a very heated argument not that long ago with someone online regarding Jeff Cobb. And I think people have where it's like, what was the topic about? It was like, oh, it's because Jeff Cobb show apparently was backstage at Wrestling Dontaku, right? I was like, New Japan doesn't need Jeff Cobb. They really don't, you know. And they were like, oh, well, he's a star. He could bring so much value back to New Japan. I'm like, when was Jeff Cobb a star in New Japan Pro Wrestling? I would argue never. Like, he was a wrestler and he was, a good wrestler. And there was a time where I'd say for the majority of his run, he would seesaw between being a high value member of the mid card to a guy, just another guy type of thing. He is never a star. Am I wrong, Chad, in saying that Jeff Cobb was never a star in New Japan? This guy he never was a draw. He's never been a draw. He's never been a serious contender for the world title. Yes, they would have him challenge sometimes, but he was never considered like a serious threat. He's never been a guy in that company. So, I don't know. What does he have to bring in 2026 going back to New Japan? The thing is that there's a very good chance that New Japan will have him back. But like I always say to people in this circumstance, look, whose spot is he going to take? With the releases and firings, mostly releases that New Japan has been through over the past year. There has never been a better spot right now for the young guys to move forward. It's only the young guys that are left. Now you're bringing back Jeff Cobb and he's going to need a spot. And people then are like, well, yeah, give him a spot. It's Jeff Cobb. I'm like, well, what spot? Why would we suddenly start treating Jeff Cobb for bigger than he is? He's a TV title level guy. What is he bringing to the table that's not already there? And if he comes back, he's just taking someone else's spot, someone else who is on the come up and should be getting the exposure. That's all I'm saying. Then I have people to, counter arguing, saying, oh, well, you have this great story with Callum Newman. Would it be a great story with Callum Newman? Would it? I don't care. What's the great story with Callum Newman that we'd have to say? Oh, Jeff Cobb is disappointed in him because Callum Newman has completely flipped the United Empire. Oh, you mean the story that we're telling with Will Ospreay right now? That would be the Jeff Cobb story? Come on, people. I swear to God, most people who talk about booking pro wrestling online and whatnot, I would never watch their promotions if they were in charge. I would never watch them. Like, what the fuck what are these retread dumbass ideas? And it's nothing against Jeff Cobb. I like Jeff Cobb, but Christ. The only time Cobb was a star when he was Matanza. I mean, okay, I'll give you that. If they were willing to put him in the Fale role, I'd take the addition by subtraction. I mean, yeah, look, if the spot he takes is Don Fale's or Chase Owens or Yujiro Takahashi's or fucking anyone in the House of Torture for that matter, go right ahead. Take their spot, but that wouldn't be it. There'd be that probably wouldn't be it. These people who should not tell these bookers how to do their job because they are no better. Oh God, no, don't get me started. I feel like I've already gotten started. In your opinion, what should cooperation between different promotions look like? Talent exchanges, interpromotional booking, not stealing talent. All of the above. Like the idea between the idea of interpromotional the idea of promotional partnerships is the exchange of talent. That's what it is. New Japan and CMLL have been partners for a long time, and they do the Fantasticamania shows. That's their thing, right? And then you'll have talent crossover for tournaments and whatnot, like the Super Juniors, like we've got Valiente Jr. this year. That's what it should be, right? That's essentially what it should be. We've seen with AEW now, these promotions, these relationships becoming much deeper and closer because of the dual contract situations with Takeshita and New Japan, and let's say Persephone and Claudio, and so on and so forth. Thunder Rosa. So this means that that the working relationships are much closer than they were in the past, right? And this is, I guess, a way to be able to use talent as opposed to, like you said, stealing, right? I think that it's a good faith way to show that for a promotion to show, look, we are interested in your Claudio Castagnoli guy, but we're not going to steal him from you guys. How about we figure out a deal where we can have him so many dates in the year and pay him consequently, right? And I think that's I don't want to say revolutionary. That's not the word I'm looking for, but that's a new way of doing things. That's a new approach. Because there would have been a time where this type of stuff would just be unheard of, just unthinkable. But I think it also makes sense, like in the context, the economic context, and where we're at, where all of these promotions, AEW, New Japan, CMLL, they're all fighting off $1 billion behemoth that is threatening their existence in all of their markets to a degree. So it's kind of like a thing where it's like, well, we might as well band together and not play dirty, so we can all thrive together. What did I used to call this when me and a bunch of friends, when we started doing the wrestling podcast and we came up at the same time, we call it a co-opetition, where we would all be working together. You know, we'd invite each other on each other's programs and we'd promote each other, you know, but ultimately we were all fighting to get the same share of mind space. And it's the same type of idea here, where promotions like AEW, CMLL, and New Japan might as well work in cooperation as opposed to just like, you know, letting things go sideways and just let it slip. Now, when it comes to stealing talent, I don't know of any circumstance, let's say within recent happenings, let's say in this triangle of partnership that I'm sure this is what we're talking about, right, in regards to AEW, New Japan, and CMLL. I am not aware of any circumstance where talent has been stolen, where there has been poaching. Okay. I know there's a certain segment of the fan base, of a particular fan base, who goes with this narrative very, very easily, right? It's like they came in and they stole our top guys, right? But is it like, how much is it stealing? Then how is it stealing or is it jumping? You know, like in Japan, it doesn't happen as frequently now, but there was a time. Let's say you'd send a guy from New Japan over to Noah for a stint, you know, you leave him go for a while there. Well, he'd do a soft jump to Noah. He just wouldn't go back to New Japan. I'm treated well here. I'm getting paid. I'm getting pushed. I'm not going back. And that's just a soft jump, right? Of course, Will Ospreay coming over to work the early Forbidden Door shows. Of course, he's, you know, sitting down. He's chatting with Tony Khan and he's taking his pulse and whatnot. And eventually, a deal shows up on Will Ospreay's table or in his inbox that he can't refuse. Is that stealing? Is that stealing? Because knowing any high-level professional wrestler, they will go back to their promotion and say, look, I'm being offered this amount of money. Can you match this? Now, of course, billionaire Tony, with his very deep pockets, can outmatch any offer that New Japan and CMLL can put out there. Like, he can outright outmatch them. That's not even an issue. But CMLL, for the longest time, their attitude was when a wrestler would be like, look, I got an offer to go work WWE. This is the amount of money. Can you meet that money? And their response, it was institutionalized. It was, no, we cannot pay you this money. Go off and enjoy. Best of luck to you. That was the institutionalized response. So we can't meet we can't meet these we can't meet this amount of money. So all right, just go off. You know, if Kazuchika Okada was happy in New Japan, he would have stayed. I mean, there was the attraction of the money, unquestionably, you know, especially since Okada's contract came up just when the yen was going into a recession. It's like, I'm going to go sit on some American dollar bills. I'm going to go stack up some American dollar bills. So there was that. But there's also rumors going around that Okada was also unhappy with other things that he made. He was expecting certain things and they didn't go his way. And he was like, okay, fine, fuck it, I'm gone. Okada's departure was, I don't want to say it was acrimonious. That would be a lie. It wasn't a bad departure, but it wasn't the best either. It wasn't the best departure either. That makes sense. So, so this idea of stealing talent, I haven't heard anything. I don't think there has been a situation where talent has been stolen between promotions. Despite what the fans want to believe, or what narratives they're pushing forward, I haven't heard anything that leads me to believe that Tony Khan ran in and said, "You got to come work with me now." No, things were done above board. Things were done above board, and New Japan let it all happen. And somehow it's Tony Khan's fault. Well, there's a lot of pieces at play here. It's very, it's very one-sided to just blame it all on AEW. There was no stealing. There was, everything was done above board. Everything was done with proper negotiations. In the case of Ospreay and Okada, they were like, no, we just want to come over, and so on and so forth. And they negotiated with New Japan. They let them know. Okay. It's an offer you can't refuse. Jesus Christ, it's business. What do you want? Like, at this point, it's, And it was an inevitability that he was going to work for one of the major, that he was going to work for one of the major promotions. Just like Kenny. It was inevitable. If AEW, guys, don't forget, if AEW didn't show up, Kenny and the Bucks would be working for WWE. Don't forget that. Not stealing, it's not the same. It's really, really not the same type of situation. I'm trying to think of a good comparison. It's been rattling inside my digestion brain. Now I'm trying to figure out what's a situation that could be comparable where there was an outright steal, there was a breach of contract, and the wrestler just ignored. You know what? Brian Pillman, the OG. Never forget that. That was WWE stealing talent. Because that was all fucking underhanded. That's that to me, that's what stealing talent is. Sitting around negotiating and then doing some back and forth and doing business properly. Wrestlers looking to get paid more, looking at whatever territories are around. Come on now. But I will acquiesce this. I believe, I would think that the dual contract stuff started to happen in response to what happened with Okada and Ospreay, where New Japan was like, look, we cannot compete with your money, Tony Khan, but a lot of our guys want to go work with you but we also need our guys. So what can we work out? And I think it was a concern, a grievance that was brought up by New Japan, and AEW heard it, and they decided to make good on it, right? Regal was an underhanded move. Yeah, but it's not. But it was an underhanded move. I don't know if I'd call that like stealing talent. Maybe. No, come to think of it, yeah, you're right. Where it's like WWE came in and is like, look, yeah. He was probably talking with Trips, right? And I was like, yeah, just tell him anything. Just get out of your contract type of thing, right? What Mal tried to do when he claimed he was quitting wrestling and asked for his release. Oh, those are very underhanded tactics. I agree. So those were the questions. I'm being informed right now. Breaking news, folks. Brock Lesnar has returned to Monday Night Raw and has hit Obafemi with 4 F5s. The man, you all thought he was retiring. We thought Brock Lesnar was done with the wrestling business. No. He has returned. Sometimes it's really easy to see when a company is desperate and is just flailing, just like throwing everything around and not even waiting to see if it sticks or not. It's just throwing shit around as much as possible. I am willing to bet. You want to hear an official prediction? I am willing to bet 10 Canadian rubber bucks that the reports that are going to come out of this are going to say this was an Ari Emanuel call. How much do you think that tomorrow the reporting is all going to be about how this was an Ari Emanuel call? Because the fans are going to fucking hate it. The WWE fans are going to think this sucks. So they're going to have to throw up a shield to defend old Papa Paul Levesque. And now their favorite shield is Ari Emanuel. I am 100% convinced this is the funniest shit. This is so funny. Now they'll hand Trips this one because the WWE fans will love it. I don't think they will. I think they're going to see this as interference. TKO like coming to mess up the beautiful retirement of Brock Lesnar or something. Now, guys, look, I'm keeping an open mind. We'll talk about it again on Thursday. We'll see what kind of reaction this gets. But there's a large contingent of this fan base that is really fucking fed up with all of this bullshit. You just wait. You just wait. Also, Mark Davis versus Adam Priest for the AEW national title. Oof. Oh. Ah. Oof. That's some booking for Warren Hayes. Those are some matches that you make. Someone's making them for me. They're like, let's throw Warren a match he'd like. And there we go. Incredible. What are we talking about? Mark Davis versus Adam Priest? Fuck yeah. In Warren I trust, but I will take a victory lap if I'm right. And please do, because you know goddamn well I will if I'm right. Please do. The floor is open. There is more than enough space for all the victory laps. Wasn't sure if I was being sarcastic. No, it's the Brock thing. It's actually happening. He came in and he gave Obafemi 4 F5s. Spamming finishers. You know, with the complaint that in AEW is like, oh, everybody, all they do is hit their finishers and look at this shit. Excuse me. Oh, Mark Davis versus Adam Priest. No, that is very real. That is very real. From the pictures that I'm seeing, it looks like it's a Ring of Honor taping because they've got the Ring of Honor ring out. No, but the WWE does make me gag though. Yo, I'm here all week. Thank you everyone who sent in questions for the Q&A tonight. That was nice. That was nice. Helped round out the show. I'm gonna go lie down now. I'm gonna go lie down now. My Lord. And it was soup. It's nothing out of the ordinary. Like, it's not even, it's just fucking vegetables and broth. And somehow, I don't know. Thanks for the raw report. Hey, listen. I'm locked in, baby. I'm locked in. Anyway, what kind of job did Warren do? Answer good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I always try to do a good job. I appreciate you realizing that I'm doing a good job. But thank you. Thank you so much for showing up. So as we were saying, Mr. Warren Hayes Show Wednesday, we will be back Thursday with the Dynamite review, and later on in the evening on Thursday, another live stream where we are going to be previewing the big AEW Double or Nothing show, which is happening this weekend. So we're going to do a nice, nifty, tasty preview of that. So be sure to be here for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hing the bell gimmick and all that jazz. There you go. Thank you so much, very, very much, for showing up on this lovely Monday. Have a great rest of your week. Go watch some Obafemi getting F5'd 4 times. And I'll see you next time.